Hey, Soul Survivors. I'm Cynthia Schiller here with Joel Chapman, pro MMA fighter, also pro boxer, Taekwondo expert. And we are going to talk about CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And it deals with a traumatic brain injury that is repeated several times. And I had reached out to him because I had come across a murder of a young lady who was murdered by Dwayne Harold. And since that guy was a MMA fighter, I was trying to see if possibly could something be up with the CTE. So Joel, can you kind of let us know what you have seen as far as chronic traumatic encephalopathy?
Yeah, it does happen to some fighters who take repeated blows to the head. I've seen it happen in all types of actual sports. It's not just MMA. Actually, I've seen it happen in professional wrestling as well. Chris Benoit, he had CTE. He took a lot of blows to the head. Plus, he was on steroids.
Mm.
Sometimes if you mix both of those together, it's just a bad mix. And he ended up killing like his wife and his kids and stuff from that. It was a really big thing back in the WWC, I think, back in the day. And then a fighter not too long ago, another fighter. This was in Mexico. He was a retired UFC fighter. His name was Phil Baroni. Recently, he murdered his girlfriend in Mexico. So some fighters, it doesn't happen often. CTE, I mean, we're at the kind of the stage where MMA is a new sport. It's only been around for 30 years.
Hmm.
So you starting to see the first batch of fighters get CTE,
Okay.
and a lot of them they they just kind of get, it's like dementia almost. They don't know what's going on. That their speech is very slurry. You
Also,
know,
it okay, because I know like with strokes can affect your emotions, but you're even seeing like lapses in memory and also slurred speech. What about physical movement? Does that affect their coordination, their balance?
it just depends on the individual. From what I've seen, like fighters when they're older and they get CTE, I mean it definitely affects them physical. I mean if you, I'll put it like this, and I'm 41. I didn't take a lot of blows to the head. Knock on wood. Thank you.
That does it does
Yeah, yeah.
MMA?
Um, yeah, but I still didn't take a lot of blows. But certain fights, especially when the weather changes, I can tell you what fight that
Oh,
happened in. Yeah, like one of my fights, my first championship fight when I fought Mark Walker, he broke my ribs like the first 30 seconds of the fight. So I had to fight, I fought a whole round and a half with broken ribs.
oh
So
gosh. Now, do you
so
think, go ahead.
and that's not even CTE. Like that's just like normal injuries. So some of those people who have been in like those crazy dog fights that you see on TV, their faces all bloody. I mean, they got hit hundreds of times. It's a price for everything, you know. And when you're a fighter, you pay that price sometimes. And sometimes people when they get CTE, I mean, you get hit in your head thousands and thousands of times. I mean, you're not gonna be right sometimes. And it
Now,
can affect people's movement. It can affect everything. It can affect emotional, physically, everything.
has it affected you in any way? And also, do you see more of possibly CTE between boxers or MMA?
You see it more in boxing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Boxing is way rougher than MMA. I know people think the opposite. People think that MMA is worse because they see people get knocked out or they see them get head kicked. Well, head kick knockouts or the elbows or whatever. Well, boxing is a lot worse because boxing you get hit over and over and over, and then I mean you might clinch. The referee breaks you up. You get punched in the head more and more and more. MMA, when you're getting beat up, the refs just stops it and that's it. Boxing,
Okay.
you get hit in the head over. They knock you down. They give you 10 seconds to get back up. When they give you that 10 seconds, that's where brain damage and stuff comes in at. You know, you're getting beat up really bad. You get knocked down. They give you 10 seconds to get back up, and then you just get back up and take a more of a beating.
Now, can you
Where
tell,
MMA,
can for the viewers, can you let us know why they give you that 10 seconds?
this is my educated guess. because there's a pressure point in your jaws called stomach 19. I don't know why it's called that. It's a vein that connects to your legs. Now, when you get hit in your jaw, it's a pressure point in the middle of your jaw. When you get hit, it literally stops the oxygen in that vein in your legs, and your legs go out. It takes
Oh,
about 10 seconds to get feeling back in your legs to get back up. I think originally that's why they made the 10-second rule.
okay.
Literally. So sometimes, so when you see fighters get knocked down in movies and you see them crawling trying to get back on up on the ropes, it's because they literally don't have any oxygen in their legs, in their
So,
vein.
so it's not because they're dizzy, it's because they actually can't stand up.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes.
Now, anybody that you know that has had CTE or seems to have had excessive blows, do they seem more aggressive or intimidating on whether it's dirty looks, or are they just the same as everybody else?
They usually the same as everybody else, but the thing is with fighters are used to being in the public, so you're not gonna see you're not gonna see them act crazy. Now,
Okay.
their girlfriends, their wives, or their husbands, because it goes both ways. Like I've seen a lot of and it's not just males beating on women. I've
Right.
seen cases where women MMA fighters are beating up on males too.
Oh, I
That
bet. I bet.
that
Now,
doesn't get talked about though.
do you think it starts to become a habit where you're used to, like, as opposed to somebody who doesn't fight, that they're not used to, kind of like how smokers, they kind of, I need something near my mouth or something. Do you think it's ever, whoa, I'm kind of losing my control because I'm used to being able to punch?
Well, I've noticed that a lot with women MMA fighters when they get mad. Like I know a lot of women MMA fighters and dudes. A lot of times we don't want to go to jail.
Right.
So when we
Girls
get
don't
into it,
either.
yeah, well, you would be surprised. So a lot of times when dudes get into it with girls, they don't want to. I mean, you don't want to make that girl out of a victim. You know what I mean?
Right.
So most dudes are like, calm it down. They're not gonna like beat on a chick. No, MMA chicks, when they get into it, they just get mad and they're done. They don't care about consequences, anything. And
Hmm.
I've noticed this with a lot of MMA female couples. I've seen this happen a lot with
You
girls
mean
on girls.
lesbian couples?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a thing in MMA. And when they get mad and I mean, they don't care about going to jail. Like they
Huh.
will scrap.
Well,
I see.
sometimes it's a medal of honor. Like, yeah, I like, fuck it.
It's just women and men are wired differently, and especially I see it a lot in the sport. A lot of times when guy MMA fighters, when they fight, they fight after they done, they have a beer. Women hate each other forever. Like I'm not joking. Like chicks when they fight, a lot of times like it doesn't stop there. They are straight enemies. Like
It
period.
does.
It's weird.
Well, I had, my neighbors got into a fight. They're like, they were related too. They are going at it. Like, I mean, there's blood and it was terrible. Really hardcore fight. And they started hugging each other. They were both drunk, but then they hug each other and then they stop and they go right back at it. It was, and it wasn't like you've seen boxers where they're kind of draped, like, hold me up. No, they were, it was so weird.
Well, let me guess. They were probably guys, right?
Yeah, girls would do that.
Exactly. Girls don't. They just don't do that. So
Right.
actually, I see a lot more domestic violence stuff and relationships with female MMA fighters. And
Oh,
but but yeah, seriously. But the thing about CTE, to get back on that subject, is most of the time the family is going to see those effects more than the public will.
right.
If that makes any sense, because I've ran into fighters who publicly they will say they have CTE and they seem normal to me, but I'm not around them in private.
Well, the lady I told you too had problems with her emotions, like, and she was a seamstress for me, and I didn't really see it, so there are triggers, and that's the thing, like with our narcissist and different people, whether they have different kinds of mental illness or depression, there's triggers. There's a lot of triggers. And when hard to describe. Sometimes triggers can be false triggers where it's not even really happening. It's like a paranoia or a made up story. And it's because of the difference in the brain chemistry that it's releasing certain emotions. And depending on what the issue is, I know narcissists will, blame you for things that you never did because they're filling in false or pieces that are missing. And it's a story that they fabricate to deal with the brain chemicals and the things that they need to feel better or to understand their world.
Right.
And
I
I
get
know, I know this one lady, she did some psychedelics, ketamine to kind of deal with her schizophrenia. And she had this terrible hallucination where she's, as soon as she's better, she was in a mental facility. She's now home, and I'm waiting for her to get a little bit better to interview her. But she had this tremendous experience that seemed so real. She felt like people were going to kill her. And do you see any kind of hallucinations or things that they don't believe, or is it what kind of symptoms, I guess, are you seeing?
Okay. I guess Joe Louis, he was a really famous boxer, and they said when he was old and he was in nursing homes and stuff, he would fight the staff, beat up the staff because he didn't know what was reality and what was not reality.
Oh,
If that's what you're talking about, like that's kind of what you're talking about. With me, I'm the type of person. My roommate knows she do not try to just wake me up. Don't like put your hands on me and just try to wake me up. Sometimes I wake up and like I've had dreams where I think I'm in a fight and I'll wake up and like somebody's like right there and I'm almost about to swing on them.
now,
That is one thing that's the only bad thing that happens with me every once in a while.
yeah,
So
I have a friend who her boyfriend went through some trauma, and like if you try to wake him up, he'll beat the crap out of you because he was jumped when he was sleeping, like real bad, like near death.
oh,
And so what about, have you, I've heard of like people punching like their wife or whatever while they're sleeping. Have you ever heard of the guy? And like I got bumped pretty good one time. It's kind of like I don't think it was on purpose, but that can happen. Do you know of any that have either,
yeah, I mean,
and sometimes too it can be an excuse. It could be, oh, I didn't know, I was asleep.
no, I mean, I've almost did that to somebody before, like I mean like once or twice, but I didn't blast a chick or anything, but like there have been times where I mean I'd be mid swinging. I'm like, well, now I stop myself. I'm like, whoa. So that's even happened with me. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it's only happened like a handful of times my whole life. Like
Right.
it does. I mean, people have gotten popped before. I mean, because if you dreaming and you thinking you in a fight and somebody's coming at you, like you your body sometimes can't tell the difference between reality and
Yeah.
the dream world. Just period. Sometimes your mind can't tell the difference. So you might be going through some stuff in a dream, and your body you still have that technique.
Yeah. Oh,
Whether
I had it where I was dreaming that I was out dancing with my friends and I was so tired. I was laying on the floor. They're like, come on, let's dance. I was too tired. And I literally was like dancing in my bed. I'm so tired. And I woke up to moving around like that. So
exactly,
so you
exactly.
can catch yourself. What about sleepwalking? Have you ever heard of any of them sleepwalking?
No, no. I mean, I don't know. I've never sleepwalked. I don't know anybody who has sleepwalked. I mean, I know people have told me like online, but I've never just seen somebody like walking like a zombie. That I think that would be pretty dope. But I hear that you should look them up. You
Yeah, well,
know.
I had it one time. I was probably about 8 or 10 years old, and I went to bed, and then I wake up in the downstairs living room, and we had a family room and a living room. Never went in the living room, so it's out of my character to even go to that room. It was just for like Thanksgiving and stuff. But I wake up in the living room, and I have this little attitude, little spoiled brat, and I start yelling at my dad, like, why did you bring me downstairs? And he's like, I didn't. I'm like, yes, you did. And I did not believe that I sleepwalked. that I walked downstairs while sleeping.
See, it happens. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a common occurrence with many people. Just period. I think sleepwalking is. I don't know. I don't know. But anybody who I know that has CTE, I've never heard of them sleepwalking or anything. They have a lot of other problems, but not sleepwalking.
Now, did you know any like at the beginning of their career as an MMA or boxer and they changed? Did they become more aggressive or more confused or did they stutter or any kind of after effects?
Like I said, I mean, the UFC is literally on this 30th year. So I'm just now starting to see the effects of that. Actually, it's a fighter who I know. His name is Gary Goodrich. He's
Okay.
actually on my Facebook. He's super famous. He was in the UFC. He definitely for sure has CTE. No doubt about it. He's actually I paid to have him come to one of my shows when I threw an event.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, Mesa, let me plug you real quick. Joel Chapman, yeah, he does have events and are you do you have a face you have Facebook and YouTube channel too as well?
yes, yes, yes. I haven't thrown a show in a while, but actually, ironically, that's something I'm working on right now. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully, I might be able to throw a show at the end of this year or next year. I want to do because a lot of people I've been seeing, I get in arguments with people sometimes online because my Facebook is extremely controversial, and people are like, "Oh, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to help with this, or what are you doing to help with that?" So soon, I'm going to put my mouth where my money is, and I'm gonna start a program. It's going to be called Save Our Children, and what I'm going to do is because a lot of times teens are very troubled. When I was young, I was a teen. Sometimes I couldn't afford to train, so I had to like my parents wouldn't pay for shit. So like I literally had to either rake people's leaves or shovel their driveways. Well, I'm getting ready to start a program where I sell my art. 100% of the proceeds are going to go to my show to so I can like literally like teach kids, get them off the street, get them in like martial art programs, and help them compete. Actually at my tournaments, I actually have a martial like it's gonna be like a martial art festival.
You know
So
what,
I'm
because you and I live somewhat close to each other. We could do a little, my sister used to work for Paint and Pour, where you like drink some
yeah.
wine and do a paint. We could do like a fundraiser that way.
Yeah, something like anything like that. Actually, I used to teach in your area. I taught young champions in Battle Creek, and I had about 200 students. So
Oh,
this is something that I've already done. So I'm getting ready to like to invest in the next generation, get them off the streets, get them to do something positive, and get them into the arts. You know, so I'm getting ready to actually start something to help kids. I think that people are going to like that, and it's genuine and it helps my promotion. It helps the
right.
kid. It's just a win-win for everybody.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it does make a difference having them busy after school so they don't get in trouble. They have something to look forward to. We all need something that gives us pride and purpose and a sense of belonging. Like a lot of the kids don't feel like they belong.
And that's why they get in gangs and do all types of crazy stuff. I was a teen myself, you know what I mean? I was around some bad people. I could have went a very, very bad route. I mean, I grew up dirt poor, you know,
Right.
and I've seen a lot of people go that bad route. So the thing is, I feel like if I can start something that can put people in the right direction, you know,
Right.
and I want to go after kids who do have issues, who might not have had a father figure, who kind of need something positive in their life. You know,
Right.
I feel like that's a good calling. So that's I'm going to take my love for the arts and hopefully help the next generation and get them out of trouble. And I mean, it could even be a profession for some of these kids one day. You know, like I mean, it's getting to the point where the sport is starting to really take off. So I
You know, I
mean,
got to ask you this. I used to have a cheer company, a nationwide cheer company. And do they have cheerleaders? I know they got what, ring girls or something. We need to start a cheer
no,
company too.
they they don't have, you know, cheerlead that's a good idea. They do have ring girls. Your ring girls are very, very, very important. Actually, I just went to a bare knuckle event not too long ago. I was hanging out with one of the ring girls, and she's in Playboy. Like she is smoking hot,
So is that
beautiful.
for marketing purposes that they have the ring girls?
it's for marketing purposes. It's eye candy. I mean, your main demographic is guys. It's probably like 90% guys, or I wouldn't say 90, but it's mostly guys. So
Okay.
you want to have pretty girls for them to look at in between rounds, hold up the signs. It's just something that's kind of like socially accepted. And for this is really weird, and I'm not even. This is like something I'm gonna teach you as a promoter because
Okay.
most fighters don't even know this. Um, your ring girls really do matter because people, that is one thing with the bigger promotions, they
Right.
have better looking ring girls. And for example, this is so little and so minute and so just weird. But the next time I get ring girls, I know this is gonna sound horrible because I'm an artist and I love tattoos. But when I get ring girls, I'm gonna have to get ring girls that don't have tattoos.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
And I think I'm like the only one that doesn't have tattoos.
Yeah,
That's in yeah, if you're
but
like 20, 30, 40 years old, a lot of them have several tattoos. And the thing is that people will judge you like, do you have a skull or do you have a heart? Do you have Tommy's name on you? Things like that, like,
well, yeah, and what I learned is why they usually get ring girls at like the bigger promotions is because in other countries like Japan, stuff like
oh,
that, they like the only people that do have tattoos are in gangs, like the Yakuza, stuff like that. So that's a cultural thing.
right.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Like I just learned that not too long ago. So
That's
when
interesting. I'll tell you
yeah,
what, I went to China and I don't really look for tattoos, but I don't remember one tattoo. There's probably somebody, but I don't remember seeing a tattoo.
exactly. That's my whole point. A lot of the Asian countries, it's just
Hmm.
not their thing. If you see people with tattoos, actually, this doesn't really have any. This was like an old story, but when I was working at MPI research, I'm I oh I I have to watch what I say, but
Yep. You got to be political.
yeah, we did studies, and we had a Japanese sponsor. So
Okay.
those were the people who actually they pay for the experiment. And we had this guy, he was really good at is we had to do certain type of bleeds. I'm not going to go into it, but we had to do certain type of bleeds. And this guy was much more proficient than I was. But
Okay.
they told me they were just like, we can't have him in there doing it. They're just like, you have to do it. I'm like, why?
What
They
do you
said
mean a
because you,
bleed? A bleed?
yes, you have to get blood from the animal
Oh, okay. So
to
I
to
know what you mean
to
now.
see how the drug is affecting their body.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but you only have to take like a little bit of blood every once in a while, like every few months or something like that. You know, it's just like it's like a checkup with the experiment, if that makes sense. But
Okay.
they said they were just like, we can't have him do it because he has tattoos. So they had to bring me in. I wasn't as good at the job because I didn't have tattoos. That's how much of a difference it made with that culture.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah, because they were Japanese sponsors. That's when I first really learned that. I was like, wow, I didn't think it would even be a big deal.
Oh, people will
But
judge you. Yeah. They definitely will judge you for tattoos, whether it's like you're the cool one or you're um, more reckless or carefree or whatever, but they'll judge you based on your tattoos.
I know, I just don't get it. I feel like people are who they are, and I feel like a tattoo is just an expression of who you are. I don't have any tattoos. Nobody in my family has tattoos. My family is very religious. That's
Right.
why. I'm not religious, but my family is, and I just can't think of anything that I would want to put on my body the rest of my life. So I just
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
the
any.
thing too, is like for the rest of my life.
Is that
But
why you don't have any?
too indecisive and it's gonna hurt and I don't know what I would want anyways. And yeah, I like myself. So I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I understand.
I don't
Yeah,
judge people. I mean, if you have them, you have them, that's totally your prerogative. But I've seen some, I knew a girl, she was stabbed through her neck. And she actually, I'm not into tattoos, but she had one of the most beautiful, beautiful, artistically, um, it was on her hip, but it was a large one. of a cat's face. It was gorgeous artwork. But when she got stabbed, she lost, I don't even know, like 40, 50 pounds. And it looked like really anorexic. And it was because of her injury. But that tattoo looked horrible. I mean, she's a beautiful girl, you know, but you just see what the tattoo looked like. And then some people, when they sag or have surgeries, things like that, you know, so now the, I don't know. That's just me. It's just,
Your body definitely gets altered. And somebody like me, my weight goes up and down because and this might be like a future episode with me and you talking about actually nutrition. Like,
yes.
yeah, sometimes in fight camp, I don't lose that much weight compared to some other fighters, but I lose like 20, 25 pounds. Some fighters, like it's this guy, his name is Alex Pereira. He just lost at 185 for he that dude, he cuts down 185 pounds. The next day in the cage, he's
Wait, cuts down to 185? Okay. I thought you
yeah,
meant
he's a
he,
185-pound fighter, but he cuts a lot of weight. The next day in the cage, he's 220 pounds.
how
So
so?
he gains it back
The next day?
the next day. He
42
goes
pounds
from,
or 40 some pounds?
yes, he goes from 185. That's what people were saying. They were just like they said that's borderline cheating because he's so big. Like
Does he inject water or something?
yeah, he water loads. He water
So
loads.
through an IV or something?
That's illegal in the UFC, so he just must drink it.
See, this is the thing too, though, is that too much of a good thing. I have a video on this where this guy did this experiment where he was drinking extra, like quite a bit of water.
Yes.
And in the beginning, it was cleaning him out, it was making him feel better. And then it started to deplete his electrolytes, started causing organ damage. But then he started craving it. And it's really interesting how, and I related to the abuse we've been through with narcissists, is our body starts craving what is toxic, just like we crave our narcissists. Like, I need them, but they were so toxic that we almost go to the other side and crave what's bad for us. Same with water. But like a gallon of milk is 8 pounds, if I remember correctly. So he's drinking like 5 gallons of water or
I
something,
don't know how he does it. He seriously, I mean, you can look it up. I can show you stats and everything. He goes from 185. But the thing is,
or
when you
35,
cut weight,
35 pounds, whatever it is. I told you I
yeah,
was tired.
I mean, I've even done it. Like the biggest weight cut I had, I weighed in at 126. It's when I defended my 125-pound belt. I weighed in at 126. That next day, by the time I stepped in the cage, I was 144 pounds.
Really?
And
I'd
yeah,
be like, I have to go to the bathroom again.
yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't eat or drink anything 24 hours before you weigh in, so you don't have anything in you, and you pulling all the water out of your body.
Okay.
So literally, by the when you get up on the scale, you're looking like starving Marvin, and the
Right.
next day you're looking like the Incredible Hulk. You know, because
Now
you
for MMA, do you want to be cut and ripped, or do you want to be bulked?
you never really want to be too bulky ever. People, for example, and I love this. That's actually one of my favorite food groups. I like the big bulky guys who come in who think they all tough, or I like Marines too. I like Marines or tough street people. When they come into the gym and they look at me, they like, oh, I'm so buff. I'm so. The thing is, it takes a lot of oxygen to operate those muscles. So
Right.
whenever I go with a bodybuilder, I'll let them burn themselves out like the first 30 seconds or a minute, and
Right.
then once they can't feel their arms, and then that's when I just have fun with them. I just beat them up, or I choke them, or I just do whatever. I just toy with them. I have fun. Just because you're big and you have muscles and stuff doesn't mean that you're strong, or that you have the technique to fight. You might be strong.
Oh, technique, I bet is a lot.
Technique is everything, because those muscles, they only good. I mean, they gripping you, they using all their strength. I'm just relaxing, and I'm like, okay, in about 30 more seconds, that's all you got. And then after
Right.
that, like, I mean, we train to fight for a long time. So having muscles and being all big and bulky, that's a disadvantage in MMA. If you notice, a lot of MMA fighters, they're smaller, or even the bigger guys, they look like they just drink beer.
Right.
That's why.
Well, I'll
It's
tell you
because
what, this is kind of personal, but after I had my daughter, my chest got larger. I have a pretty, it's nice, but
oh,
it's like a smaller chest, you know. But
oh,
when we're talking about my boobs, but they got big, and I went to reach for, like I hated it. I went to reach for stuff. I'm like, they're in the way. So like I could see like sometimes those they can't even put their arms down. So I could see it being an interest. How'd you get me to talk about my boobs?
oh, that's a winning conversation. I love it. I love it. But
No, it's
but
not another comment. Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Welcome to Let's Talk About My Boobs.
well, I mean,
That's called small talk.
yeah, I mean that's good small talk. But I mean, with the women, I mean, well, when y'all gain weight, a lot of it does go in your boobs a lot of the time. You know that, like, women when they lose weight, that's
That's
one
where
thing
they
that
lose it.
usually goes with them is they boobs or they
Yeah.
booty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but for fighters, it just, the bulkier they are, the more tired they get. I noticed that. Like
Yeah.
like seriously, and usually the smaller a guy is, the longer they can go and the faster they are.
Oh, that's what it seems like. They have higher endurance.
Yes, because when I fought at 125, I noticed the fighters were a lot more skilled at the
Okay.
smaller weight. And the higher up you go in weight, the less skilled you are, but the more powerful they are. So they can put you out with, like, I mean, like the heavyweights. You make one mistake, you going to sleep. They
Okay.
have one knockout type of power. You know, where a 125er, they have to hit you 100 times to finish you.
Right.
You know, so
So it's probably, yeah, the wind up versus the leverage. Like we don't have the I'm 6'1", so when I say I just mean being tall. But as far as like the leverage,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
harder.
leverage, power, technique. I mean, timing is important. Timing is, well, that's why they, for example, when I first started competing in black belt against like the masters, I was a lot faster than them, but it didn't matter because they had better timing than I had. Like I would like, and they just boom, and they just hit me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah,
They're just like
ah.
holding your head and you're like
Yeah, yeah, because they knew when to attack or when to hit. You know, that's kind of where I'm at in my career. I'm at the end of my career, and I train with these young guys who are a lot. They might be faster than me, and I mean they're even more athletic, but I'm still beating them up because of my timing. You know,
awesome.
and
And
it feels
talking about timing, we are out of time. If you guys want me to continue like longer chats, go ahead and type and get the pro. I gotta upgrade my Zoom because we are running out of time. But Joel, I am going to chat with you on the phone and talk about our next podcast. How's that sound?
that sounds great to me.
All right. So thanks for joining us and check your phone.
All right,
Thanks, you.
thank you.
Thanks, Joel. Bye-bye.
All right, bye bye.